You have just been invaded by...
Hey there guys, this is DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room and you're listening to Slope's Cast, the retro gaming news show recorded live on Twitch with my co-host Grizzly Crichton. If you like the podcast and you want to be in a chance to be on a future episode, then please do consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. And if you have any particular news stories that you would like us to cover in a future episode, then please do let us know in the dedicated rooms over on Discord. Plus, if you are listening to the podcast on any of the many podcast services around the world, then please do give us a little review. It really does help us spread our wings and get into the earlobes of plenty of other podcast goers. Anyway, enough of the plugs. Let's get on with the show. So here we are with Slope's Cast, and massive thanks to Grizzly yet again for compiling these awesome suggestions which have been posted by our awesome Discord members. These are the 4 topics we're going to be chatting about today, starting with the state of play, and state being the main word because that was not that enjoyable if you ask me.
The state of this more like...
Hey, I see what you did there. So for people that are actually watching this live, I've got the PlayStation blog open, but we will go through each thing that they showed off in this state of play. But what I will say before we go in is I expected more from Sony, considering they didn't come along to E3. And I understand, E3's very much a nostalgic memory that people like me like to hang on to, but the big game companies, Nintendo, Microsoft, and even people like Ubisoft and all that, had all shown off the best of what they had to offer. Notice I didn't mention Capcom. And I just feel like Sony could have brought something a little bit beefier to the table. And unfortunately, they didn't. There were a couple of nuggets in the rough, though. A couple of diamonds in the rough, as they say in... the incredible Aladdin movie, but I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, something to preface all of this. Apparently, just before they went live with the state of play, they did mention that it's going to be indie focused. So, I suppose there are some, expectations to temper, but that doesn't explain. Let's go into the full detail on this one because it
doesn't explain it because, as you'll see, some of these games are very much not
indie. Yeah.
But the first game they did show off, which was a big surprise for me and a welcome surprise, one of the definite highlights, one of 2 highlights for me, if I'm honest, Moss Book 2. Now, I have played and I'm really struggling to think if I completed it, so I think it's time to open it up again. Moss is a sort of 3D platformer that you actually play from the perspective of an overhead god-looking character in VR. So it's something that I've always wanted them to do more with VR. Why in VR do you have to be in the driver's seat with like an Outrun or a Forza game? Why can't you still play it the same way you play it on a screen, looking down at the character or the vehicle, whatever the gameplay may be, but in a VR world? So around you, you've got the whole landscape, but you're still playing a typical good 3D platformer or driving game, whatever it may be, and that's what you do in this game. Moss is a good typical 3D platform game, and it's done really well. It's done very, very well, and I enjoyed my time with the first one, so I'm very happy to say that they've got another one coming.
Yeah, it looks all right, doesn't it? The first, I didn't know like how good the first one was. Never really got into this. It kind of looked a bit like, I don't know, something like Out of American Tale or something, but
yeah,
I get that people really like the original Moss. I just didn't feel like it was the way you wanted to lead a presentation from PlayStation, like the E3 replacement thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. At least it wasn't Call of Duty.
There's my original copy of the first Moss, and 5 out of 5, 95%, 9 out of 10, best VR game from all these different awards it got. So nothing but a good thing. Awesome stuff.
They misspelt mouse. There you are.
This was followed by probably the worst named game I've ever come across. If you give a bunch of execs in a boardroom, what should we call our game? Kids Like Arcades? ArcadeGEDDON, and that's what we got. It's Fortnite with characters that look like they're from a forgettable DreamWorks movie.
Yeah, I thought ArcadeGEDDON is what happened down in Bournemouth when they realised they make more money out of one-armed bandits. This just it just looks like a generic Fortnite thing. It's probably being really unfair because a lot of things look like generic Fortnite things, but with varying degrees of quality. But I don't know. It's just I don't see anything special here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there. What am I saying? I'm sure there is definitely an audience for this. Hopefully, for that audience, this is a big change up. It does look like there's actually quite a lot going on in the game. In all fairness, I think the name is so. There has got to be a YouTube channel with the name ArcadeGEDDON. It doesn't even roll off the tongue. It's such a weird thing. But yeah, it's generic as all hell. I suppose it's needed though. So it is what it is. Not a bad one.
I think
it's not for me.
I've got a theory. I think it was named by that pineapple pen guy.
I don't know who that is.
He's got a pen. He's got an. No, I'm not going there.
Yeah. I think I know you're talking about pineapple pen. I can't do an impression. I wish I knew it better so I could impersonate it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. But okay, fair enough. That was followed by a game I couldn't care less about called Tribes of Midgard. Again, I know this is just me, but it's sort of a top-downy. I'm just reading it now. Action RPG. Launches on the 27th of July if you're interested. Cooperative. Please take over. I'm so bored.
Yeah, it's remember Diablo? It's that, but with a cel-shaded art style, and it's made by an indie developer who I don't know, probably makes good games. It's not for me.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching along and sensing a theme, there you are.
Thank you for the raid there, Emmy. Moving on to Fist. Now, we've just got right here the second of the two games I liked from this. However, I am cautiously optimistic with this.
Yeah, this is Xenoclash, isn't it?
It looks good, but at the same time, it looks like it could be clunky as hell and not enjoyable to control. And I'm hoping it's not that because it actually does look quite nice. Yeah, it's a 2.5D brawlery platformy game, puzzle platform game, I suppose. I suppose it's quite similar to Shank in a sense. And it's got a few different art styles where it looks like it almost turns a little bit R-typey, but very, very light. And I like that. A game I very much like called Rive did a similar thing. And that's like one of my favorite indie games ever. So I'm excited to see where this one comes from. I think it's got a hilarious name. Fist, which actually stands for something. If I go to the end of the trailer, it's Forged in Shadow Torch. Why doesn't even? That'll make Fist. Why don't they just call it Shrug? I don't know. Exactly. But no, I'm optimistically excited for that one. I think it generally looks not too shabby. I'm quite excited to see how that one goes, how that one plays out. So good one for that one, PlayStation. That was followed by another game called Hunter's Arena. Actually get into this so I can actually remember what it's like. It's a leap into 30-player melee matches when Hunter's Arena joins PlayStation Plus in August the 3rd. This combat and system overview can be the edge you need on launch day. Launch day? Okay. A big melee battle royale-esque game with fantasy characters. If that's up your street, there's a game coming out for that. And I remember them talking about this for a really long time. It really went on. It dragged.
Yeah, this is like I don't know. I think they're doing the whole MOBA thing. It's very typically what you would see for like a Chinese-made, almost like mobile game kind of thing. You know, in the trailers, and then you get Raid Shadow Legends.
There's even Legends in the title.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's very generic. It looks nice. But then again, they always do before you play. So
it looks insanely generic and at the same time pretty. So there we go. There's that.
Yeah.
Here's one that I am quite interested about: Sifu. But it definitely looks very clunky. Fightfall, Fight Again in the latest look at Slow Clap's Kung Fu beat 'em up. Each time the hero gets KO'd, he does rise again, but ages each time. Excited to learn more as we close in on the game's 2022 release. Well, we're definitely not closing in on anything with that. But yeah, it's a brawler-esque game that a part of me thinks it's going to be a little bit like a Streets of Ragey type game. But every time you die, you get older. And I don't understand what the reasoning behind that would be, because surely you would just get worse.
I think what's happening here is they're going for like a Rogue Legacy type thing. So first of all, Dan, I'm just seeing in the comments, apparently my audio is really low. I'm not entirely sure if that's by design or not. So I've just moved a bit closer to the mic just to help.
Should be a bit better now.
Okay, so let's just roll back. And yeah, Sifu, it kind of looks like it's doing this whole Rogue Legacy thing, where when you die, something takes your place, whether that be like a younger version of you, or in this case, you just get a bit older. It's an interesting approach. I quite like the look of this one, actually, being like a scrolling beat 'em up of some kind. It just
like third person, I suppose, a bit like Yakuza in that sense. Like, you know, it's over the shoulder-esque fighting, but yeah,
it's an interesting way to do a life mechanic.
Yeah, but I just maybe you become a better gamer, a better fighter as you get older. Maybe that's the approach they're going for. I can only imagine that's the case. Does that mean?
Yeah, but surely, like, once you get to like 99 lives, you're like, I don't know. I don't think you're going to be as effective.
Yeah, you're going to be like that guy, the old bloke in Tekken 3 that just lays on the floor and gets drunk.
That's it. Yeah.
It's a really, really strange approach. And I'm not sure how it's going to go. What I will say is I love the combat in something like Batman Arkham games. And if it's like that, but you're basic in a sort of Metroid style thing where you've got almost no abilities to begin with, but as you get beaten up, you get a bit more powerful and a bit more powerful. Maybe that's the approach they're going for. And as I explain that sounds quite cool.
Yeah, I'm into this one.
But at the same time, that definitely does sound like a mode in a much bigger game. You know, you got this Streets of Rage DLC coming out. You know, it seems like the DLC is the whole game. But again, it's an indie game, so we'll see how it goes. It's interesting. I'm definitely not writing that one off yet. Like I am Jet, the Far Shore. Thoughtful exploration and exquisite atmosphere make this adventure stand out. Learn more about the game's laid-back approach in this new State of Play trailer. No Man's Sky is the game that comes to mind, and I'm sure it has with everybody, but a lot less fun.
It seems a bit like Flower to me in a lot of the gameplay, because it's got that. Yeah. I don't really get what you're supposed to do.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be an indie darling of some kind. It looks like it's quite pretty.
And in all honesty, you know, sometimes when you're looking at something like, I don't understand how to play this. And I remember looking at Flower and like, I don't even know what this is. This is so weird. But it turned out to be a good game. And the originator to stuff like Journey. So there may be a good game here. It's just, unfortunately for PlayStation and the team behind it, this is not an easy game to show off what you can even do, like where the enjoyment is in a game like this. I can tell you right now, it's definitely not a game I'm probably going to play. It looks like it's going to be a complete time soaker is going to suck up all your time. And I haven't got time to play a game like this. It doesn't look up my street, if I'm honest. But hey, fair play for people trying new things.
Might turn out to be a banger. We don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
So there's that. Up next, you had Demon Slayer. This is one of Sega's games they brought to it. So see Tanjiro and Suzami Mansion episode in the latest look at Anplex's upcoming anime adventure. The popular series comes to PS4 October 15th. This ain't up my street. I feel like I need to get my thesaurus out to find better ways of saying that.
Yeah. I don't really get what's going on. I'm assuming it's from something bigger. I'm getting the impression that it's actually part of an anime series. But with that in mind, and if that is the case, then I am doubly not sure whether I'll like this at all. It's been made.
Part of the game looks quite good, but I've just got a big worry that there's going to be 30 minutes of cutscenes in between those fights. It kind of just looks like a boss rush game potentially. And hey, if the company, obviously Sega were publishing it, but the company that actually put it out actually put in some really, really clever ways of actually fighting, that may be a really cool way it may be a cool, fun game.
It kind of reminds me a bit of this, if anybody remembers Azura's Wrath on the Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. Although it looks like you have a degree of more control in this. It's just very cinematic. It's got those, like cool anime style, like fight scenes down by the looks of it. But I don't know. I know nothing about the anime series it's from, and it's just, I don't see why I would buy it.
No, absolutely. Unlike Lost Judgment. I've just realised I've written last in all of the promo for the Tonight podcast.
Well, we'll see. Yeah.
Yes, Lost Judgment, the follow-up to Judgment, would you believe? A little bit more of a show on that. And this is how you do it. Yes, if you've already got a game that's announced, and yes, you've already shown it off, and you want to show it off again for 2 minutes, then go for it. That's not paining anybody. If there's people out there that are not interested in Lost Judgment, they haven't got to wait 2 minutes, unlike one of the later ones we'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, this genuinely looks good. I'm still to really get into the Yakuza games, and I know I will, and this is obviously a spin-off to the Yakuza games, people that don't know. This trailer was very much just showing off the crazy amount of stuff that's in the game. The fact there's like a Tony Hawk, a skateboardy type mode, there's like a DDR type mode, and that's the brilliance of this series. And I really want to try and get into Yakuza more because these Judgment games also look utterly fantastic. So anyone out there that's into Lost Judgment and the Yakuza series, you should only be nothing but excited for this.
And the Lost Judgment series is the last bastion for me because I haven't played many Yakuza games. I'm very much like Dan. I haven't played Judgment yet, but from what I understand is that Yakuza has gone turn-based for its action, and for every preceding game will be a turn-based action game. And to me, I'm not a fan of that. I love the like Streets of Rage style brawling action. Yeah. I want that, and Judgment and Lost Judgment looks to be the last bastion of that when it comes to the Yakuza style things. And we're talking, another thing that really got me when I played Yakuza 0 was just how good the actual drama was. Yeah, the trailer focuses on all of the crazy moments, like, grabbing a bicycle and wrapping it around someone's head, or the, crazy animals that come to help you during a fight. But in reality, it's got some of the finest like Japanese drama you can find in the series. Mm-hmm. The rest is just, I don't know, it's window dressing compared to what you actually find within. So I can't wait to see Lost Judgment, and I'm hoping there'll be some sort of box set so I can finally dive in like I should have done.
There will be. And that retro video gamer says, Dan, you really need to start looking at the other side of the fence soon. The grass is greener and all that. As in, you're saying I need to play these Yakuza games. I've only actually played Yakuza 0 because I thought, even though that's technically a prequel, so obviously it didn't come out first. I thought I'd start there. the problem is I streamed it for about 2.5 hours when I played that a year or so ago, and almost no gameplay, but it was just so many cutscenes. And if anyone knows me, cutscenes are my kryptonite. It makes me not want to play a game, and they just keep going on. I'm like, please let me play the game. I start looking at other things and I start browsing on my phones because I just stop losing interest.
Yeah, that's my biggest bugbear with Yakuza is that you actually there's like 3 levels of cutscenes. So you got the really good CGI cinematic, which are all beautifully voice acted. Then you've got the standing in the street tapping X to wait for text to move on, and you just find yourself going, really, I do not have time for this. I just want to click. I just want to get to the next thing. I want the next CGI cutscene, and then you get the.
This is just mine and your opinion. We obviously the Yakuza series are heavily loved, so we need to get past that barrier. Me and you, we need to force. We do, yeah. Yakuza,
absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, good going. It wasn't it didn't take up a lot of time, and it showed some really nice stuff for a game that is a game series that is majorly loved, just not too much by me and Grizzly. So good job for that one. Next up, you had Death Stranding, the director's cut. And I do not understand this. Before we go ahead, thank you so much, Quang, for raiding with 10 people. Very much appreciated. Hello, everybody that has just joined. We are doing our weekly podcast where we talk about all the latest gaming news, try and aim that a little bit towards retro if we can. And we're near the end of chatting about the PlayStation State of Play reveals that they recently showcased earlier on last week and last Thursday. We just got to the point where basically, yes, we'll carry on from here. Death Stranding director's cut. Now, I don't know about you, Grizzly, but why are we getting a director's cut from a game that's is it even a year old?
I think it's just about a year old, but I don't really know what to like. Do people like this game? I seem to remember that when this game came out, people were all really excited because it's the next Hideo Kojima thing. It's been long hyped. And then people realised it was just a really ultra-long walking simulator.
He liked it. It's very relaxing. It was very much like if there was ever going to be a Marmite game, for people who don't understand that terminology, love or hate, I think this is going to be up there.
Yeah. I just don't get it. You know, I really wanted to play the first Hideo Kojima game from in a long time that wasn't a Metal Gear Solid stealth type thing. Mm-hmm. And then he came out with this, which was... It's not really stealth, so he ticked that box, but it just turned into this like really long ambling nothing that it's really disappointing in that regard. I mean, it looks stunning. It always looks stunning.
Yeah.
But if there's nothing in it, there's really nothing to see.
I mean, there's people out there that like it, and I've just looked up. It's actually a year and a half old. But regardless, for a game that came out near the end of the PlayStation 4's life before the PlayStation 5 came out in that regard. Obviously, we're not at the end of the PlayStation 4's life yet. We're already seeing a new game. And I suppose it kind of happened with the PlayStation 4's launch where we got a Last of Us, even though that wasn't exactly an early title in the PlayStation 3's life. Obviously they're not calling it remaster and there we go. Remastered for PlayStation 5. Yes, they are. Woo! I missed that in the trailer. Why do we need a remaster of a game that works in a PlayStation 5 already? It's like it doesn't need to exist yet. Remaster PlayStation 3 games and lower, definitely lower. Like, give us a proper remaster of the Jack and Dexter games or Legend of Dragoon for the RPG fans. Why are we getting Death Stranding? It's less than 2 years old, and the game you buy that's less than 2 year old works on your PlayStation 5. It's so bizarre. Why we're getting this quickly. And I know there are fans out there. There's people in the chat that are fans. We don't need this yet. It was my problem with the Resident Evil games. I didn't want them to get into Resident Evil 4, the remakes. I wanted them to continue on the path with things like Code Veronica before they end up going into the rest. It's just, I just don't understand why we need this yet. This to me seems the same way that Square Enix deal with things. With I remember they didn't make the money they wanted to on the original Tomb Raider reboot because their expectations were so extraordinarily higher than they should have been, in all honesty. So they instantly do remasters of their games as soon as the next system comes out. And honestly, the improvements are bare bones. But hey, it helps them get to that number. And I think perhaps Death Stranding didn't sell what they needed to, so instantly there's a director's cut that's come out less than 2 years later. It's so weird.
Yeah, he's not exactly making mass market games anymore, is he? He's just, it feels like we're just seeing him put whatever like stuff he could throw on a wall that sticks. And
I like experimentation in games. That's how you get games like Child of Eden and eventually in Rares and stuff like that. And I always look at those as like the ultimate experimental games. So I like the fact that it happens. I just don't understand why it's coming again so quickly.
Yes, the adventures of Norman Reedus and his Norman fetus is back anyway. There
we go. And it actually hurts me as a consumer as well, because if this was a game that I loved, I would have bought it, and then less than 2 years later there would have been a version of the game that's better than my copy, just for the sake of extra sales. I'm not a fan of this. But regardless, hey, people out there like it, and there's obviously going to be Kojima fans that are buying this, lapping this up. So
one moment, let me just check something. The Death Stranding PS5 upgrade. You have to pay $10 to upgrade from PS4 to PS5. I do not. I get. Kojima needs to keep the lights on, but I don't know. There's so many like developers out there who are doing the free upgrade from PS4 to PS5, and like Dan says, it feels like you're almost being punished for early adoption if you buy a game when the next version comes out. If anything, there should be a token in the box saying thank you for buying on day one. Here's a token. Should we upgrade it in the future, you get a free upgrade. It should be the other way around.
There we go. I love it. I love the way the trailer looks like it's a non-stop action-packed game. It's quite funny. But anyway, moving on to the final game they showed off, Deathloop. Now, me and Grizzly have talked about many times that we're actually very excited for Deathloop, because it's been shown off so many times, and yet again, here it is. And you know what? This is actually putting me off the game now. 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes of constant gameplay. And I'm like, you're literally just almost showing us long plays of this game now. And I am excited for it, and I am going to pick it up. But it's just like, come on. The big show, this was their final reveal. There was no one more thing. They showed 10 minutes of a game that's already had about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, of which there was a 30-minute showcase. They spent a third of it on this.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. Obviously, yes, I'm excited for this game. I just didn't understand why this was their e-ticket attraction at the end of the state of play.
Well, it's like I had a theory during this, and that was that this is the last game from Bethesda coming to PS5 for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of an FU to Microsoft.
Yeah, and note that I didn't say exclusive, because I believe it was originally supposed to be an exclusive, but now they've confirmed it's in fact a timed exclusive. So all of this extra focus and all this advertising being spent on a game which, Sony don't really get to rub in the faces of anyone. It's kind of sad, to be honest.
It's a strange one.
And this is what flies in the face of that whole, the last 3 games flies in the face of the whole idea that this was supposed to be some sort of indie showcase, because this is Bethesda we're talking about. They're a massive third-party developer. They're not exactly what you call indie. And it kind of like stamps all over all of the... if you're going to show extra footage from a game, show us more footage from the indie titles, because those actually look like they require an explanation. Deathloop does not.
Like they did the way that Lost Judgment did. It's a 2-minute showcase. Here's some extra things that you can do in the game. Moving on. close to 10 minutes of a game that we've already seen so much about already. It's getting pushed in our faces so much. The marketing budget for this game is astronomical.
There's no real like semblance of discovery anymore, is there? You know, we're showing you a mission. This is how the game looks to play, and chances are the majority of the game is going to look like this. I mean, it looks neat. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to giving it a go. But
I'm excited for it. I'm not a big first-person fan, so the fact that it's caught my attention showcases that it's got a cool enough mechanic to grab my attention. It's a cool idea, but stop showing us Deathloop, Matt, now, please. Although I've got a feeling
that's it. Yeah.
So there we go. There we go. Exciting, I suppose. Out of 10, the whole presentation. What are you thinking, guys? Everyone in the chat, let us know. What do you think of the PlayStation's state of play out of 10? For me, I'd struggle to push it above a 4, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'd you know, how many reveals was there? I'd say there was about 10 reveals, so I'm going to give it a point for every reveal I liked, and that was 2.
Fair enough.
Sifu and Judgment, yeah.
Fist.
We
got 2s out of 10s. We got 3.5s, 1.2. Wow. Michael Towns just wanted Mother 3. I don't think he understands what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Moving on, shall we? Should we move on to some retro news? We got the current stuff out of the way. Let's talk about some retro stuff. This happened recently. New retro news. And that is the fact that a sealed copy of Super Mario 64 has just sold for 1.5 million. Almost doubling a record just set.
No, that's a bit silly. I paid a tenner for mine.
I've got an unboxed copy which cost me a few quid.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories as to why it went for so much, and there's a lot of prevailing things. But you know, up until the very moment of this podcast, we were looking up details about heritage auctions, and there's a lot of interesting stuff out there. In fact, even during the podcast, I got you a image in your Discord inbox.
So if you want to
show that, Dan. If anybody's interested in a sealed copy of Skyrim for $600, it could be yours on the Heritage Auctions website right now. It's a WATA 9.2 grade, by the way. So I feel as it's more speculation online, but there's a prevailing theory that this was a combination of both shill bidding and potential money laundering as to the reason why it got so high. Of course, none of this can be necessarily proved until we actually have like a source in the situation, but Heritage has been known to be caught for this in the past and has gone through several lawsuits about shill bidding. It's an interesting case, though, because I think this is the first time it's been for a major video game release like this.
Something like that. It doesn't make sense because obviously, and I know there's Nintendo tax that you always have to add on to these things, but obviously rare games are rare because fewer games are sold. Hence why Days Before Christmas Mega Drive is worth more because less of those games were sold, blah, blah, blah. You know, the blue spines on the Japanese Mega Drive games tend to, for the most part, be a bit more expensive than the earlier games. If you look up games like Mickey Mania, Lion King, Alien Soldier, they're all in the triple digits because they came out later in the system's life, less was sold. Yeah. Mario 64 was the most successful game for the system. Now, when you actually go back and look at the stats, that actually isn't a lot. I mean, it is in the sense that they sold 11 million copies. I think the actual number was, let me have a look here, 11,910,000. So essentially almost 12 million copies were sold for the N64. But that is still the most successful selling game for the system. Most people that have an N64 have that game. So, yes, you got to add Nintendo tax. Yes, that's why things like Wii Sports, a packing game for the Wii, the most successful selling, one of the most successful selling systems of all time, still goes for around about a tenner on eBay, which is stupid. But still, 1.5 million for Super Mario 64. There is some dodgy stuff going on here, because no way in hell is the most successful selling game for a system worth that much money, regardless of if it's sealed. You could sell copies of the original Mario for the NES, and it would nowhere near get anywhere near that figure. Absolutely nowhere near. There is dodgy stuff going on here.
Yeah, I mean, there's people in the comments talking about the sealed graders and what have you, sealed in games in general. They are very sporadic in terms of how they sell. We've seen copies of Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, all of these classic video games in sealed condition, selling on the slab for over $1,000. That's about what I would expect, you know. $1 million is so far removed from that. It's unbelievable. Really and I have a quick question. I mean, like, I know I live in the UK, and a lot of the grading services that are world renowned are based in America. However, I have never heard of WATA until today. So it leads me to believe that this could easily be some sort of advertising campaign, because I've always known video game grading to be done through VGA. I mean, Chevmatic in the chat is saying WATA is huge, but I genuinely have never heard of them before. And I have followed grading and sealed games for a little while.
I don't know. I've got zero interest in it. I want my games to look nice, but I don't care about anyone grading, so I never look it up. But yeah, it's very bizarre. What I have got here, and we can quickly watch it, is a little 1-minute video clip. We won't talk while we play it, but this was actually the auction where it all happened. So here we go.
Super Mario 64, 9.88++, Emily. It's a $380,000 Heritage Live. I'm asking for $40,000 on Heritage Live. Now I'm asking $460,000. Bid now at $500,000. It's bid for $550,000. $700,000 on Heritage Live. Do I have an advance to $725,000? I do. Let's go $750,000. $975 Heritage Live. $975. You know where this is going. Let's go $1 million. It's $975 bid $1 million. Heritage Live. I need $1 million. There's my $1 million. Last call at 1.35. I'm going to sell at 1.3 million. 7107. Congratulations.
Rubbish.
You know what really bothers me about that is that in that video clip, for the people who aren't watching, really, seriously, drop by the Twitch at some point. We have fun. Like Dan has cookies and everything. Sometimes he shares them out. You really should join us over here on Twitch when you get a chance. But if you can't, we do appreciate you checking in. So thank you. But what really bothers me is that there is something so much more infinitely rare in the background, and it's sold for a fraction. So there's a picture of the Nintendo PlayStation right behind the auctioneer, and it says how much it sold for, which is $360,000. There is no way a copy of Mario 64, I don't care if it's a 9.8 grade on whatever scale someone conjures up in their bedroom, there is no way that is more rare than a Nintendo PlayStation, of which there is only one known to exist. Yes. I'm sorry, that's history right behind her.
Yeah, it's so absurdly bizarre. But yeah, there we go. It's something that happened. There is a lot of rumors out there of Heritage in the past. They have actually, I've got a news link here I can quickly show up. They have tried to wipe the internet of any kind of negative press against them from back in the day. But yeah, Heritage Auction Gallery's lawsuit in the news claims of fake bidders. It's essentially, for anyone out there that's bidded on anything on eBay, it's so obvious what they're talking about here. You have someone like your sister or someone that you know constantly bidding on your item so that it pushes up the person that's put the highest bid in. And that's what is believed to have happened with this particular company in the past, allegedly. definitely allegedly, just putting it out there. And because they're that type of company, it's believed that sort of thing has happened again here with the selling of Mario 64 for 1.5 million. It's
Yeah.
And like you say, right behind them, they showed the case that they got the Nintendo PlayStation 360,000, one of the most infamous video game consoles of all time. Tales, the urban legends that came true, went for less than a third of the price. Ridiculous. There we go. But it happened.
Yeah, it's madness. Absolute madness. There's no way this is in any way legit unless someone can prove it with a legit receipt saying, yeah, I quite fancied it, and I'm also a national lottery winner who really just doesn't like money. I won't believe it. I won't believe it's legit.
There you go. There you go. There's not much else to say here. It's just it's Barney, absolute Barney. But there we go. That's something that happened. Just like this awesome thing that also happened. Moving over to the next topic because that just annoys me. Right. Anyway, yes, the awesome game that is Half-Life, as in the original Half-Life, has recently had a new Easter egg discovered over 20 years later. And it's quite a nice little one. I'm going to play some footage here again for people that are watching. But did you want to explain what people are seeing here, Grizzly?
Yeah, so this is on the PS2 version of Half-Life. This one was the one that's developed by Gearbox before they did all of the crap games. So in the PS2 version, they created a side expansion story called Decay, which saw you playing as two female Black Mesa recruits, Gina and Colette, as they performed some missions during the event. So what you're seeing here is that there's a way to force the ending cinematic to go through a viewpoint which was originally not intended. And if you do so, there's a sparking computer, and it has those sparks actually spell out the initials of Matt Armstrong. So it says MA in the sparks if you pause them at a certain point. And it's just one of those things that I just thought was really cool, because the very first Easter egg, as everyone knows, is Adventure Atari, where the initials of the developer was found in a secret room. So it's just nice to see that these kind of things still happened in the 2000s. Yeah, it's just a fun little Easter egg that someone's found. And it's, considering it's Half-Life as well, it was a good excuse to stick Gordon Freeman on a thumbnail. So I'm not going to complain there either.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And here's a little bit of demonstration of one of the other games put out there by that guy you said, Matt Armstrong, and he's put his signature in other games as well that he's worked on. So yeah, it's a genuine thing. And 20 years later, we finally found it.
He's still at it, yeah.
Awesome.
So the other game, by the way, for people listening, it was Team Fortress Classic. So he's been known to paste his little initials everywhere, and it's always the same signature. That's how you know it's definitely him. So yeah, neat.
Very neat. Which brings us very quickly, actually, it was a nice quick topic, over to our next topic, which is all about Sega's lost...
No, this one's... Yeah,
Sega's lost Judgement.
Yes. Potentially Last Judgment, as we alluded to earlier. So there's a bit of a legal snafu going on, and quite funny that this is all about, a lawyer going around fighting on the mean streets of Japan. So the talent agency that represents, and I'm going to try, I can see why you did this, Dan. So you wanted to see me butcher some Japanese names. So Takuya Kimura, who plays Takayuki Yagami, who the lead character of the Judgment series, his talent agency, humorously called Johnny's, is refusing to let a PC release of the Judgment series happen. And the reason seems to be, well, there's various reasons. Apparently the talent agency is a bit on the traditional side. They actually refuse to post any of the images of their talent up on the internet, and or at least that used to be the case. So seeing this kind of restriction over in the West for a video game that's clearly available online and can be viewed on pretty much any platform, that's I don't see really how they could have expected it to be any different. But apparently, the reason why this, it's very, very old school. But apparently, the reason this all came to light was because of the Google Stadia version. Apparently, they'd agreed on the Stadia, but the management of Johnny's didn't understand what Stadia really was. So not realizing that it would in fact make the game playable on the PC. And since then, the guys over at Sega and Johnny's, sorry, I'm never going to get sick of saying that name. Sega and Johnny's have not been able to come to some sort of agreement to make Judgment a viable product for Steam on PC, which really does hamper things quite a lot for Sega. Almost to the point where they're stating that this could potentially be the last Judgment game in the series, because they'd be missing out on a ton of vital sales. Yeah.
Painful. And I don't see. I know I'm a bit of a Sega fanboy, but I don't see how this is their fault.
Yeah,
if Johnny didn't realize this in the first place, why, can they kick off about it now? Going to Sega or any video game company and allowing their talent to go on in a game that would so obviously be spread in that particular way. It's a really, really bizarre hiccup that I don't recognize. I don't think this has ever happened before, not to my knowledge.
Yeah. So from what I understand, there's other good reasons. So as the story develops a bit more, I'm finding, I'm trying to get into the mindset of a talent agency that does not want their talent to be seen. Because that's how it seems on the external viewpoint. And if you take that viewpoint, I can fully understand why. But in this case, it somewhat makes sense. So we see one of the reasons I saw is because Takuya Kimura was originally in a boy band. Sorry, the company behind it's not just called Johnny's, it's Johnny and Associates, a talent agency from 1987. But yeah, they've been referred to as Johnny's before. Apparently Kimura was in a boy band and as part of a group called SMAP, who was quite big in Japan, at one point. And one of the biggest fears of seeing a star like Kimura in a digital form is the potential for graffiti in a way. And we know what kind of graffiti we're talking about. We're talking about modifications where, Kimura's head could be seen in uncompromising positions. Okay. This is the kind of things that they conjure to justify the reason why they're stopping for PC games. And to be honest, that it's not too far from the truth when you look at the modding community and what they've done by putting Kimura in Yakuza, for example. People are able to. That's a model of Kimura that doesn't exist on the PC platform already. So you can imagine what people would do if he did exist. And it kind of reminds me of what happens with Elliot Page in Beyond Two Souls, if we remember what happened there, where there happened to be a fully modeled nude model, which was completely against the wishes of the actor in question, and it got leaked because someone managed to hack the camera angle. You can totally see why a slightly out of date standpoint would be kind of scared of how their talent would be portrayed. It could potentially damage the image of their talent completely. So, you know, they're somewhat protective in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. It just feels out of it's just weird.
It's a very, very unique and bizarre situation for Sega to be in. It's so obscure, but unfortunately, I'm guessing it's. I mean, I'm looking at it from a very Western point of view, I suppose. But when these sort of ransoms get put up, it's because obviously they want more money for something that's definitely blowing up on a worldwide scale. You think that's what they're trying to do, but I'm also thinking, I think this could genuinely be them mistaking, not realizing that this is the sort of path a game would go down. It just seems so obvious. But again, maybe that's because I'm a gamer. There we go. It's odd. There we go. So I think we'll end it there, shall we?
Yeah, I think that's good. To
say really.
Well, I don't know. Let's hear what's in the comments about all of this going down, because it's so weird. Don't really get it.
Thanks for listening to Slopescast, the retro gaming news show with myself, DJ Slope, and my co-host, Grizzly Crichton, recorded live on Twitch every single Tuesday night. If you want to listen in live, then make your way over to twitch.tv/Slopes Game Room at 9 PM UK time, 1 PM Pacific Standard Time, and 4 PM Eastern Standard Time. And as stated, if you want to be in a chance to be on a future episode, then please do consider supporting the show on Patreon or as a YouTube member. And finally, if you do have any news stories for us, then please do feel free to drop them in the dedicated rooms over on Discord at discord.gg/Slopes Game Room. And until next time, guys, this is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.